Hello, and welcome to Messages from Beyond. I've created this, or I've been asked to create this, to help and to listen and to help heal those who have passed away. And I'll give you a little bit of background because this is session 1 of this series. And I just want to give you a little bit of background as to what led me to starting this. And so my name is Shannon Grace, and I have been on a healing and personal growth journey for several years now. My life was kind of falling apart from the inside out several years ago now, and I began a journey of healing and expanding and evolving and just personal growth and becoming finding myself, basically was a big part of it. I didn't realize it at the time. I just really wanted my body and my mind to feel better. But what I realized was that my soul was basically screaming at me to find myself and become who I am meant to become and do what I'm meant to do, because I was not being the person that I fully was meant to be for a very long time. So that kind of began my journey of exploring outside of the box, because outside of the box was the only place that I was actually getting results and then was helping me feel better and just find myself and to connect with myself. So I began exploring different modalities and different healing methods and different philosophies and different perspectives, and a lot of it felt like truth, and a lot of it resonated, and a lot of it made sense in an abstract way, and a lot of it made me feel better and better and better and better and better. And I realized very early on that was what I wanted to do. Was as soon as I started feeling better, I wanted to learn how to help people feel better, and I wanted to learn how to help myself feel better so that I didn't have to go to other people all the time just to start feeling better, and to deal with my emotions and to deal with my mind and my limiting beliefs and my physical pain. I had a lot of physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and energetic pain basically for a very long time. And so I began being not just a recipient of different modalities and different healing modalities, but I also became a student of it. And I remember very early on, well, actually, I'm pretty sure I had a little angel friend or a little spirit friend when I was a kid. I can still remember his face, but every time I asked my mom, well, where did this boy go? She didn't know who I was talking about. So I just had this little person that was with me when I was a kid, and I thought he was in the flesh. Like I thought he was a physical person, but now as I look back, I feel that he was likely a little angel or a spirit that was with me, and he was my friend. And but then I closed off for a very long time, as a lot of people do. And once I started being a student of these out-of-the-box modalities and healing modalities and different philosophies, my channels just very quickly opened back up, and I feel that they've gotten stronger and clearer, and I'm aware of them, because as a kid I wasn't aware of them. It was what it was, and I heard what I heard, and I saw what I saw, and it was all real to me. And now it is real. It's just there's a difference between physical real and energetic real. So I began intuitively receiving messages or noticing that people would be in my mind's eye intuitively, and they were asking for help, and most of them were like had passed away. Like I'm able to connect with people who are still alive as well, like intuitively connect to their higher self or to their soul or to their spirit or whatever. But these people were people who had passed away and were coming to me asking for help. And I had a lot of personal experiences with this, with a member of my family as well, who I could just tell this person was very bothered at night. And when I asked this person, you know, what's going on? What are you noticing? He just said, like voices are asking me for help. And he was very, very little at the time. And I was like, oh, you have to tell them that you're too young to help, and that they have to ask someone else for help, and that you can't help them. You don't know how. You don't know how to help them. However, again, looking back, I realized that those spirits or those energies were probably likely trying to get through to me because they knew that I had the skills. I was just blocking them. And so again, like hindsight's always 20/20. At the time, it's like, what the heck is going on? And what is this? And why is this happening? But when you can look back and connect the dots and have the realizations, all of a sudden it makes sense. It's like, well, they were actually trying to get my attention. And it's interesting because I became a lot more open so that I could better understand what my family member was going through, and to try to, like, again, in an abstract way, bring logic and abstract together. So, and it's really funny because I'm actually like my conscious mind is very like black and white, right and wrong, up and down, left and right. It's very practical and it's very logical, but I have this other side of me that's very intuitive and very creative and very abstract. And I shut that side off for a very long time, and I was only open to logic and practical stuff and like black and white stuff that was right in front of me. But then my life dictated something different for me, and I had to open up my intuitive, abstract, channeling abilities, I guess, or skills, in order for my life as a whole to make sense. Because things just, my poor little logic mind could not make things make sense, and life wasn't making sense logically at all. And I had to open up and think outside the box and see outside the box and explore outside the box, because the box was imploding basically for me. So very early on, as I was working with people, I'll say like in the physical, which is here, but then in the energetic, which is beyond. So just so you know, when I use different words, that's what they mean. But I was working with people in the physical, but I would always get these like requests intuitively. As I was working with people, I would intuitively get requests like, well, can you help us with that too? Because what this person in her life is dealing with right now, we had that too in our life, but it never got resolved, and we would really like help because that energy, we're not at peace with that yet, or that hasn't been resolved yet, even though we're no longer in the physical. And so in the beginning, I was so clueless. I was like, okay, like I would always ask the person permission if we could include other people intuitively with that, and just allow them to be a part of the healing process. And of it, it's basically like the release and the letting go and the healing process. So it's very interesting. Like, I didn't really know what I was doing. I just was willing to help. And that's a big thing with who I am as a person. It's like, I've always wanted to help. I'm here to help. This is what I do. I love helping, and it just doesn't really matter to me anymore. Like, am I helping people in the physical, or am I helping people in the energetic? And so that began a process of just doing my best to learn more about energy, and learn more about our thoughts and beliefs and emotions and all of these energetic, intangible things. Because yes, there is no more physical body to work with, but our emotions are not physical, our thoughts are not physical, our beliefs are not physical, and our spirit, the spark that is with us while we are alive in our physical body, like that's not physical either. And I also learned that energy is not created or destroyed. It's just always there, and it just takes different forms, and it moves around, and it can change its composition, so to speak. But like energy doesn't die. Like, energy doesn't die. And so I kind of just, if I got the call, so to speak, or if I got the request, I was always happy to help, because I started to realize that so many people are not at peace when they pass away, or so many people aren't ready, or haven't been able to, or never learned how to heal whatever was affecting them, or let go of different problems or different situations or different pain before they passed away. And that's been a big realization, and it just keeps coming to me that like there is so much trauma energy beyond the physical, from people who were alive and passed away, but were not at peace with their emotions, with their thoughts, with their beliefs, or with their life experiences, or with their pain, or with their trauma before they passed away. And so what happens is, like, the physical body, the flesh, dies, but the spirit lives on forever, and the energy lives on forever. And I just have always been getting the visuals and getting the messages that emotions, thoughts, beliefs, trauma, pain don't die with the physical flesh. They don't die with the physical body. If there is still trauma happening, or there are still emotions, like unresolved emotions happening that person doesn't resolve, that energy goes along to the other side, to the energetic side. It goes beyond with the spirit or with the soul as that passes. And so for years now, they've been saying to me, like, we need healing. Like, yes, like people living on the planet right now need healing, but we need healing. On the other side needs healing. The other side needs attention. The other side needs help. And I've just seen over and over and over again, and I've helped over and over and over again. There is just so much pain that was never resolved in the living years that is now connected to the other side energetically. And that has been something, like, anytime I have the awareness that the other side is asking for help, I help because of all of the information they've been sharing with me. And I just feel that it's time. Well, I've been working on figuring this out for over a year now, actually, because a year ago I had the awareness that, like, I am being asked to share what I'm getting and what I'm learning and what I'm doing and what I'm helping. They've asked me to share that, so that other people can, like, it's almost like to educate people, but it's also so that other people can, like, help them too, or other people can like help their own families, or help their own cultures, or help their own ancestors, or whatever it may be. So it is about me sharing what I'm doing to help people on the other side, but it's also, they're asking me to educate at the same time. So it's taken me a bit to kind of, like, in my own conscious thinking mind, to piece it all together and to, like, figure out, like, okay, well, how can I best do that, and what format, and what would it look like, and how would I do that? And this is the answer to that, because I'm able, through this option, I'm able to connect, I'm able to share what I'm getting, I'm able to like explain what they're saying and what they're asking for and what they're holding, and I'm able to help them. And it's all just, like, happening all at once as I'm recording this video, and then whoever's meant to see it will see it. I don't have to worry about, like, sending it anywhere specifically, or getting it out to anyone specific, or even working with anyone in the physical realm, like a living, I don't have to worry about working with a living person to be able to, like, access the other side, because the other side is just, like, always, like, right here for me anyway. And it just it took my mind a little bit of time to get that sorted out, and to figure it out, and to understand, like, what they're wanting me to do and how they're wanting me to do it, and also, like, get over my own apprehensions and uncertainties and whatever about, like, sharing this with people, because it is different. And it's really funny because, you know, things can be different until you actually, like, do them. And then once you start doing something and you open yourself up and you expand yourself to bringing in something new, or to experiencing something new or something different, it doesn't take very long before what was once different feels pretty normal. And so for me, all of this feels very, very normal for me, and it's very real for me, and I've been witness to the results of it, and it's just, it is very real, and it's very normal for me. It's just in a different realm. That's all. That's the only difference. It's like, and I actually, the first time I ever went snorkeling, which was a year ago, just over a year ago, I had a huge epiphany in that moment, because I'm like, if we never stuck our heads into the water and looked around, we would have no clue what is in the water. And so the water world is a realm, or the water, like the oceans and the lakes and whatever, and the rivers, they're a realm. And we would never know what was in that realm unless we stuck our heads in the water and had a look around and went swimming around, not with your eyes closed, head above the water, but unless you went swimming around in the water, you would never know. And there's a whole world just underneath the surface of the water. And so it's the same as the energetic world. Like, there is a whole world there in that realm. And it's just, it's very similar to like just putting your goggles on and sticking your head into the water. That's what I do, is like I put my goggles on, I turn my intuition on, and I stick my head into the energetic realm. And there's so much there, and there's so much to learn, and there's so much to understand and to connect to there. Same as with like in the ocean, under the water. And each of these realms kind of has like a veil. Like it has like a line that separates like the physical realm from the water realm, or the physical realm from the energetic realm. And I swear, it's just getting through that veil is the hardest part. Like for me, putting on that little snorkeling mask and like putting my head, because I was like a closed eye swimmer my whole life. Like I was like, I don't even want to know what's under there. Like I don't want to know. And putting that snorkel mask on and the little breathing thing in, and like putting my head like I understand now, because like the energetic realm is second nature to me. It's basically as real as the physical realm is to me. It's no big deal. But for me, the big deal was like putting my snorkel mask on and like putting my face into the water with my eyes open and like breathing in the water. Like that was such a trippy experience for me. And I had so much fear, and I had anxiety, and I was like having trouble like breathing. I was so like nervous about it. And I just am laughing at myself at that time as I'm like, because it's like, okay, how is this any different than what I do with the energetic realm? It's no different. It's just I'm scared shitless to go into the water realm and to see what's actually there. But it's no big deal for me to go into the energetic realm and spend hours there. And so I was laughing at my own hypocrisy, basically. But it was about overcoming the fear of seeing what I didn't really want to know was there, because I just really like the physical air realm. Like I like the air realm. I'm very familiar with the air. So it gave me an understanding of how scary it can be for people to go from one realm to another realm, and how there is that fear, and there's anxiety and uncertainty and unknown, and what if a fish bites my toe, and different things like that. So I had like, that was a really big epiphany moment for me, but it also helped me realize like there's the physical air realm, but then like, well, there's the air realm, and then there's the water realm, but the air and the water are all part of the physical. And then there's the outer space realm, which is also part of the physical, but it's very distant. It's not like we can just like jump up into the air and like touch a star or anything like that, but we are able to see it with our physical eyes. But the energetic realm, you kind of need to use your spidey senses, or your extra senses. I call them your inner senses. to be able to like navigate that. So for whatever reason, that is just very open and very natural and very normal for me. But I understand how for other people it isn't. And I understand how those doors with other people are not open. I feel that we have them, but they might not be open. And that's okay. Just like my door was not open to go snorkeling and to actually put my open eyes into the water until I was like 40, almost 40. No big deal. It took me that long to be brave enough to try that. But here's the thing. I loved seeing images and footage and videos and pictures of the water world that other people took my whole life. And so even though I wasn't comfortable to go there and do that and be that person that saw them firsthand, I loved seeing what was there. And I loved when other people would share what the pictures and what they saw, and like the pictures and I loved that. Like I loved seeing all the creatures in the ocean and in the, well, not lakes so much. They're not as cute in lakes as the ones that are in the ocean. Like there's so many like beautiful, beautiful fish and creatures in the ocean. Lakes for me personally, not so much. They're not as cute. So I feel that like that's also a comparison. Like not everyone wants to go there, to the energetic realm, and not everybody wants to connect to that, and nobody wants to like dive into that. But maybe there are people that would like to know what's there and would like to learn about it and would like to like learn through other people who do go there. And that is what I do. And I feel that it's really not doing anyone any good for me to be there all the time and not sharing what I'm learning and what I'm seeing and what I'm experiencing and like who's coming to me and who's asking for help and what they're asking for. And like it's almost like I'm withholding really helpful, useful, interesting information that people would actually benefit from or learn from. Same as if people who went into the ocean and who weren't afraid to go into the waters and swim with all these water creatures, if they took all this footage and all these videos and all these pictures, but then just kept it to themselves and like didn't share with other people what's actually beneath the surface of the water. And so like for me, if I never knew what was under there, I probably wouldn't really want to go check it out for myself, or I would be really afraid and I would never attempt it, or I would never know. And that in a way is kind of a disservice, because it's like, well, why wouldn't we share? Why wouldn't we, if we're brave enough to go do something, why wouldn't we share that with other people to help them know? And so that's kind of basically an exact comparison to what I'm doing through this series for you, is like, I'll go in because I'm not afraid to go in, and it's not weird for me to go in, and it's not scary for me to go in. So I'll go in and I will connect and discover what's there, and I'll have people coming to me and whatever, but then I will record it and I will share it, and that's just seems so obvious to me now. It's funny how it took a year for me to get there, but because it could be beneficial and it could be useful and it could help other people to give it a try too, because it's not that scary. You just have to, you just have to feel ready. You just have to be ready. That's all it is. And for me, for 40 years, I wasn't ready to literally stick my head in the water with snorkel equipment. But for 40 years, I loved seeing the images and the pictures and learning what was in the ocean. And so there you go. That's it. It's very much the same type of situation where it's like, maybe like you don't have to go in yourself to be able to learn about what's there and to benefit from it and to like learn from it. All right, so I'm just gonna see if there's anything else. I have like a little blank spot of the wall over here in my room, and when I look over there, I'm not looking at anyone. I'm just like giving my physical eyes a spot to look at, to then use my inner eyes to be able to like, and my inner ears and my inner dialogue to like ask if there's anything else that I'm supposed to describe or talk about before we move on to the next part. So I am meant to share one more thing before I move on, and that's that like it's a personal experience that I had all when my life was just kind of first starting to fall apart, and when the box just wasn't making sense anymore and things were happening that logically made no sense, and I had to like start looking, expanding my horizons. And because of this experience, I have opened up like other skills and abilities that I feel are very, very helpful. And with anyone who has it's weird, anyone who's used them, or anyone who has let me help them use them, or anyone who has connected with me to use the skills that I have with them. There we go. That's what it is. So anyone who has connected with like a physical, anyone in the physical living who has connected with me to use these skills that I have, they have found it very, very, very helpful and beneficial. And it's basically like, it's brought peace to so many things that otherwise would not likely ever have peace brought to them. So before I ramble any longer, I will explain it. So when my life was really starting to not make sense and things were kind of falling apart from the inside out, I had an experience with a person where I just met somebody. It's like you meet someone new every day of the week. But with this particular person, I met someone new. But then I started having I don't know, saw this person for like maybe half an hour or an hour or something. And we were just like in the same space at the same thing. No big deal. Nothing even happened. Like that was symbolic or like important even. But the effects that I had afterwards were as though some major thing happened between me and this person. And so I was having like major like trauma and sadness, and I was having like a lot of emotional reactions to the fact that I met this person. But I didn't know this person, and this person didn't know me. We just like casually chatted for a half an hour. And I had no way of getting a hold of this person. However, for 3 years, I struggled and suffered with like being, I'm going to use a scary word, but I don't mean it in a scary way. But like, I felt like I was like, this person was haunting me. Like it just like, I couldn't let go, and I couldn't make sense of it, and I couldn't resolve what I was feeling, and I just, it was really hard for me to understand what the hell was going on, because our physical interaction made absolute no sense to the, like, or no logic. It did not make any logical sense to the reaction that I was feeling and the dreams that I was having and all of these things that were happening, and like how distraught I was, and I just felt like heartbroken and like really things that didn't make sense. Anyway, it took me 3 years of being traumatized or bothered or unresolved, like feeling like that was unresolved, and feeling like I really need closure with this. I really need answers. I really need information. I really need to talk to this person and ask what in the hell is going on. But I did not know who he was, and I had no way of getting a hold of him. So through my own struggles and my own pain, I feel as though I was able to open up another skill or access a skill, or I was given a skill to be able to connect directly, intuitively to people that we would otherwise not have any way to get a hold of them, or to contact them, or to work through anything, to ask them anything, to like get answers on anything, to make what doesn't make sense make sense. And that skill works for people who are living, but also people who have passed away. And the cool part is that, like, I have this skill that I can use for my own purposes, but I'm actually able to like directly help other people connect. Like, so I'm able to help people, living people, directly connect, like a direct connection to deceased people, or to people that like they will never be able to speak to, or that they never met, or I'm just thinking of like miscarriages or that type of thing, where like they just were never able to like meet them face to face and have a conversation that they'd really like to have. Because that was one thing that I found, is like there were things that like I just really needed to say, and there were things that I just really needed to understand and to know, but it just never worked to go through someone else to try to get that information. I just wasn't comfortable with it. To like, I definitely tried it, and I definitely like benefited from the 3-way connection, but I just was like, I just really want a 2-way connection. And so that is one skill that I have, that I'm able to like, I'm going to use an example. Let's just say that there is someone in your life, you're living. Obviously, if you're watching this, well, no, there's actually a lot of people who have passed away that are watching this too. But you're living, and someone at some point in your life passed away, and you never got closure, or what I'm getting is you never got to make amends for something. You never got to clear the air with something with that person. And it's just, it feels unsettled for you, and it feels like unfinished business, or it feels like a little hole in your heart, or it feels like sadness, so that every time you think of that person, instead of like celebrating their life experience, you feel sad, you feel guilty, you feel upset in some way, or bothered in some way. So that connection between you and that person is not at peace. And it's not a good thing. Like, it's not a good thing to be living with that. And it's like mentally and emotionally and spiritually, like, and can be like, it's basically physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and energetically draining and stressful and bothersome to be at odds with someone that you believe you can't make amends with, or that you can't talk to anymore, or that you can't connect to anymore. And what I do is, like, I'm calling it, like, hold the space. So I hold the space, like, I form the connective channel for you to be able to directly connect and communicate and listen to people that have passed away, that they likely have things they want to say to you and to share with you that they didn't before they passed away. But it also gives you the opportunity to speak with them and connect with them. And it's a two-way direct connection. And I'm just there holding the space and, like, acting as a guide, but you're having the conversation with them. They are speaking to you. They are having the conversation with you. You are getting firsthand information, not second or third hand information from people who are on the other side. And there's just something so healing about that. And it just, anytime I'm able to, like, help someone with that experience, there's so much peace, and there's a release, and there's healing, and there's understanding, and there's, like, I'm getting, like, reconciliation. And it's just, I just see, like, the energy, like, that energetic connection is no longer, like, agitated. That energy is now at peace. And I just see, like, it's just like the rift or the unsettledness is just dissolving, and there's peace, and there's calm, and it's neutral. So I was meant to share that with you as well. And so I'm just asking, like, because I don't want this to be too long, but I also want to make sure that everything that is meant to come through does come through for this session today. And I'm calling it a session because it just feels like a healing, educational session. That's what it feels like to me. And I am getting that there is a group of people that would like to come through and would like to be heard today. And I just see it's so when I ask, like, what group are you, or how would you like me to introduce you to the people that are watching this? And usually, like, there'll be, like, they'll have a name for themselves, but this name is abused women. And so I just see that there's a lot of women. There's about 3 that are kind of at the forefront, but they look wore down, and they look like kind of tattered and torn, and they're just saying, like, they were never able to stop the cycle of abuse in their lifetime. And they're saying, and it didn't come to me to say it before, but it's definitely here now, that whatever isn't resolved in one person's lifetime, it affects the next generation. Like, it affects the future. Like, so it affects, so even though I'm getting, like, these people have been passed away for 20 or 30 years, so that technically could be, like, 1 or 2 generations have been born since then that are connected to them. They're saying, like, what we didn't resolve in our life, in their lifetime, the energy of the cycle of abuse, the energy of abuse is still there. And it's like, it's still in the physical, and it's still affecting the present generations who are living. But if it's not resolved and it's not neutralized or like stopped, it will also affect future generations, and the cycle of abuse will continue, because everything starts out as beliefs. So everything starts out as energy. Like even matter, like when you break matter down to the smallest of small, it's energy. So everything starts out as energy, and energy basically like manifests and creates everything. So the cycle of abuse starts out as energy. It starts out as beliefs. It starts out as trauma from previous generations, or getting generations of people who did not resolve their own cycles and did not shift their own beliefs in their lifetime. And that it's kind of like it compounds, but it just goes on to the next generation to see, not to see, but it gives the next generation the opportunity to resolve it. And if that generation doesn't resolve it, then their cycle of abuse that was formed in their lifetime, plus the cycle of abuse that was carried forward, it's like a bank balance. It just carries forward to the next month. But if that's not resolved, then the next generation gets the opportunity, but now they're packing 2 bags before they even start their life for they're packing 2 bags plus whatever they experience in their own life. And then if that person doesn't stop the cycle of abuse in their lifetime, then the next generation now has 3 bags, like instantly, automatically to deal with, plus their own cycle of abuse, because the cycle never actually stopped. And so this is just, this is who came forward today as wanting to share that message of like, it's so important for us to deal with our stuff as best as we can, and put a stop to things that are not healthy, happy, and beneficial, to stop the non-beneficial things in our own lifetimes, so that we're not adding baggage. We're not adding our baggage to future generations. I had a little saying once, it's like, monkey see, monkey do, now you are a monkey too. And it's like, help your children's generation, or help your children by helping yourself. Like the more we can do to help ourselves in our own lifetime, the less mimicking of unbeneficial cycles and unbeneficial patterns and detrimental stuff our children will have in their own lives. Plus, they won't have to deal with our unresolved stuff that we never dealt with on top of their own stuff. So I'm just asking if, so these women, I see, again, there's 3 of them, but there's more behind, but they're a little ways behind. It's almost like they've sent, these 3 are the kind of like, they're brave. They're not afraid to be seen. They're not afraid to be heard. And they're saying like, can you please talk about the cycle of abuse, and that because we never stopped it and we didn't resolve it in our own lifetime, they're still carrying that, but they also see that it has affected their offspring, and it is affecting the generations that have come after them. And so, you know, when you deal with a weed and you only deal with the flower of the weed, the plant and the leaves and everything still grows on, and it just grows. Maybe you plucked one bloom off the weed, but the plant is healthy and strong. And it's gonna keep making more blooms, and it'll just bloom for other people. Okay, so if one person stops the cycle of abuse for themselves, yes, like they do not live that life for themselves, but they're not stopping the cycle itself. They're just removing themselves from it. And that was one thing that was very motivating for me, was like, I just don't want my kids to be affected by my stuff, or from stuff from a few generations ago in my family tree that no one resolved. It was like, what is that saying? Like the buck stops here. The buck stops here, I think. It's like it ends here. It stops here. Like, my kids will have their own journeys and their own growth experiences and their own trials and tribulations. They don't need to deal with mine and 5 generations back of unresolved stuff on top of that. They will have enough of their own to deal with, definitely. And so what I'm seeing is just like a plant where, yes, from time to time, people have plucked themselves off of the plant, and they have chosen to not have a life of abuse, but the cycle of abuse and the energy of abuse and like the plant of abuse lives on, and it's a healthy plant, and it will just grow more blooms and affect more people. So what these ladies are saying is, the further back you can go, the deeper down the plant you go. And the further back you go, and the further back you go, you finally are going to hit the root. You are finally going to get to the first person who started or who experienced a life with abuse or an abusive relationship that then started the cycle, which then grew the plant. And so what I like to do is, like, how far back do I need to go in the energetic realm to get to, and she's coming, to get to the first person in that lineage who experienced an abusive relationship for whatever reason. The reason doesn't even matter, but experienced an abusive relationship in her lifetime, which then sprouted the seed, grew the plant, and then it turned into, like, I'm just getting like a field of weeds that have never been dealt with and have not, the roots have not been stopped. And so I'm just going to ask this lady now, like, so there's a lot of, like, the world is a big place and there's a lot of family trees, but I'm just working on one family tree. And I don't know whose it is. It doesn't matter. It's just that this is what's coming to me. But I'm working on one family tree who connected with me today. And so the 3 ladies that came forward, they were part of the cycle, but they didn't start the cycle. They were not the epicenter of the cycle. So I've asked, I do feel these 3 ladies are related or connected somehow. So I've asked, like, can I please be shown the person who started this cycle in your lineage, who was the first person to have an abusive relationship? And she did step forward. And she's kind of looking around like, holy smokes, like, that grew like wildfire, because she did not resolve it in her own lifetime. And so I'm asking her, because she's at the start of it, And if you work with the root, the whole plant will feel it. Okay? The whole plant feels whatever you do to the root. So I'm just asking her now, are you willing to see? She doesn't even know what all happened. She doesn't really know like why. She's saying like it was just not a good relationship and we just didn't get along and we just continued to like fight for our own way, and then that led, like, it escalated because we didn't actually deal with our issues and things just escalated, and then like it just tipped and then it turned from arguing into abusive. And so she's kind of sharing with me like we didn't deal with the small stuff, we didn't get along. She's saying like we probably shouldn't have even been together, but whatever, that's irrelevant now. And she's just saying like we didn't deal with the small stuff, it escalated, it got worse. Oh, you add time, you add emotions, you add unresolved problems to a relationship, and she's saying like at one point it just something snapped and it became abusive. And so I'm just asking her like, are you ready and willing to let that go? Are you ready and willing to like release that experience and know that like because it wasn't resolved in her lifetime, but she's still carrying it, like she never got the opportunity to release it after she passed. And she's just saying, she's actually saying that like she's not ready to let go of it yet because she still holds a lot of guilt, and she's having a bit of like a, oh my God, look at what I did. Like now that she's seeing how many people it has affected over the generations and how that seed grew into a very big plant, she's not ready yet. And I do respect that. And perhaps one day her and I will connect again, and I can help her release that guilt and just find peace with that. But the three ladies that first came to me, they are so done with it. They are saying like, they're giving her a hug and they're just saying like, it's okay. You didn't know that this was going to like energetically affect other people. You thought it would just be with you and die with you, and you didn't know, and it's okay. And I actually see like she just needed to hear that. And like just them showing compassion to her and like giving her a big hug and saying those words to her, I just see like a light now is going up, and she is releasing that now. And because she didn't know, she didn't know. And so she has freed herself from that, and now I just see the ripple effect. So I see that those three ladies who first came to me, they're freeing it. They're freeing that energy. They're freeing the energy of the cycle of abuse. And it's just, I just see like this big network of so many generations, and it's just like, I just see light coming through, and it's, the cycle is breaking. And I just see like, I'm using a plant as an example. So I'm seeing like the root has just, the root isn't even there, and a plant without a root can't survive. And so I just see the plant breaking down, and the stem breaking down, and the leaves breaking down, and the blooms are breaking down, and there's just light coming through all of it. And I'm just seeing like how through the generations, it's like anyone who's ready and willing to release the energy of the cycle of abuse from within themselves energetically, it's freeing that up for them. And it will never be freed for anyone who's not willing or not ready or not accepting of this release. But I just see, it's almost like it knocks on the door. This is being freed. Would you like to be freed from it too? And if you get a yes, then there's light. If you get a no, it just moves on, because not everybody is ready. And so there we go. We're working through that. And energetically, it's happening. And I'm just, like, my job is just to describe what happens. And okay, so those 3 ladies, so I just see, like, the plant was still affecting the present, but it stops now for that lineage. Like, so that lineage, like, things will shift in people's lives who are living now. And it's almost like you wake up from the dream, or you can finally see through the fog. And I just know that when you shift the energy on something, the energy shifts first. When the energy shifts first, the energy has to shift first. But when the energy shifts first, it allows the physical to change. And it allows things to be different in the physical. And so we're just, and like, it is what it is. Like, I don't even know who this is helping. It really doesn't matter. It's just about the energy of it and freeing that cycle of abuse. So I'm just going to ask if there's anything else. Nope. That's it. So it's that's just what this is. It's just a conversation, and then realizations and information, and then I help who I can, and then they're like, good, done, thank you. Like, your session, the session is now over. So I will wrap that up with that, and because I just feel, I was like, yep, that's totally empty now. Like, the tank is empty. There's nothing else to share about that. It's just the experience itself. So thank you so much for joining me with this today, and I hope you have a great day, and I do appreciate you being here with me. And if you would like more information or you have questions, I have my contact information listed in the details below. So have a great day, and I will connect with you again soon. Bye.